So, Tuesday night of this week, WCVB's helicopter, they're known as Sky 5 HD, to the area, and their TV station known as News Center 5 for their news, ABC, they had to make an emergency landing in the middle of the Boston Common. Now, for those who don't know Boston, Massachusetts, or Massachusetts in general, or anything about it, well, basically, the Boston Common is a huge park in the middle of Boston. It's kind of in the middle of the city in general, but you know, it's the middle of winter. There was snow all over the ground, as you can see in this picture after the helicopter landed. Now, the thing is that we had a huge nor'easter coming our way the next day, and that proved a little bit of a problem when they went to remove the helicopter. So let me restart this all the way from the beginning. So the new crew was up there in like 6:30 at night in the new helicopter. It's known as a B-206 Lone Ranger 4. It's a Bell helicopter, and they were testing out some new video equipment. Now you can see the video right here. The helicopter's going fine, but then all of a sudden the bells, whistles, alert tones go on. All the lights on the dashboard of the helicopter go on, and they have to make an emergency landing. You can even hear it a little bit in the video if you turn the speakers up all the way, because most of the helicopter's audio is muted. Again, they are only testing video equipment here. Now, they did record the landing, and it was pretty good. Only a Zamboni driver over at a nearby ice rink said that he noticed that Sky 5 was hovering very low, and when it landed, it's like all the lights were off, and it was soundless. And usually you hear the huge rotor noise of it going like, you'll hear a lot of that if you're at an airport with a helicopter lifting off. And anyway, the photographer up there, her name is Karen Lippert. She's employed directly to News Center 5 and WCVB, and the pilot's name is Michael Young. Now, Michael Young, he was flying the old Sky 5. Here's a picture of him with the old Sky 5. Notice it's a different type. It's a Eurocopter AS350V2. Those have way more power than the B-206L4. And here's a little perspective for you. WCVB has been flying the B-206L4 back when they started Sky 5 in the 90s. And they added in the Eurocopter AS350V2 in probably about mid-2000s. So, you know, you fly them differently. They have different power types, but why would they want to switch back to a lower power helicopter? I also noticed when I looked at some information about the helicopter on airportdata.com, the tail number is N95TV. But it also showed up on airportdata.com that it hasn't been updated at all. It says that the helicopter is also registered as N90CL, and that is based in Linden, New Jersey. It has not had an airworthiness test at all. And anyway, since then, they have been bought out to Helicopters Incorporated. Basically, they sold the helicopter to them, and they also did some stuff to it. They re-registered it. Now, it doesn't say it had an airworthiness test, so it doesn't know if it's good or not to fly. And I think it might have gotten some wear and tear over the years. Now, also, you know, the guy, Michael Young, the pilot, he's probably too used to flying the old Sky 5. Now, they're two different birds again. Also, it was snowing at the time, or it was very cold out there. Helicopters really don't like the cold as much, kind of like us. So, you know, it was like, could you wait till a warmer day, or maybe during the day, to test out the video equipment and wait till it gets dark? Then you can head back over to Beverly Municipal Airport, and then you'll be done for the day, and then you know it works fine. But here's another thing. I mentioned that nor'easter was coming overnight. They weren't able to remove the helicopter until the FAA did its investigation the next day. So it was probably covered in snow, but eventually they did get it out. I haven't heard any information on it that they have gotten out, but I know by now they probably have. So that is some good news out of there in Boston. But it's very crazy. You have the helicopter. It didn't make any noise on the landing. You have a pilot who's not used to flying a B-206L4, I think. And, you know, it's completely new, and they just remake the whole helicopter. Here's also a fail in covering the story, because Fox 25 over there in Boston, they didn't have any information on it. WHDH had a phone call in. Basically, they had a report coming in on the phone from their reporter out there for NBC7. And they didn't have any live pictures. They only had just one picture of the helicopter. They couldn't get more. They had their truck out there. So that was another sign that it was a bad night to be outside. I don't know what the temperature was, but also the CBS helicopter, WBZ Skyeye, flew over it. Now they gathered a little bit of video and maybe a couple pictures, but the video of the helicopter's landing was not shown, and they have it on YouTube, so why couldn't they have just looked? So basically, if they could have gone to WCVB's YouTube page, youtube.com/WCVBTV, they could have got it easily. So there's a fail on everyone here. There's a fail on the helicopter company, a fail on the pilot. Now the photographer, she was doing fine. She's the only person I'm not going to give a fail. And I really like the commitment that everyone's putting into this and covering the story, except for WFXT, I believe the call number is, for Fox 25. So they have a huge fail, and you know, you haven't heard anything on it since, but you know by now they probably got it out. So there's some good news right there. So do you think that they should have tested it maybe in the middle of the spring or something? Like, you know, they could have waited, because the other Sky 5 was fine. So, you know, why did you want to get a helicopter that's even worse? Anyway, it's like, I can't stress that enough. Basically, the helicopter that is better should be around longer. It didn't crash. Thank God, both of them didn't crash. The old one's still around, the new one's still around. I think they're just going to use the old one for a little bit. But, you know, the new one, man, that is just a heart attack on a bun.